are doing a good old-fashioned unhaul. I'm about to have a day off of work to just catch up on life, and one of the things I'm going to do is go to the used bookstore. So that means it's time for an unhaul. Most of the books we're going to talk about are either books that I have just decided don't need to be in my collection anymore, but there's nothing against them. Books that never came into the collection, like I read them and then decided immediately they were going to get unhauled. And then a couple with prejudice, a couple things off of my TBR that I've just realized I'm not going to read. Yeah, a nice little grab bag here. So, let's get into it. We're going to start with books that I have had in my collection and just I haven't felt the need to reread them. I haven't felt the need to talk about them on the channel. So that kind of tells me that it's maybe time for them to go. Or a couple of these, I've finished the series and I've just realized I only want to keep the book that I like best in the series. So, The Magic Steep with Poison by Judy I. Lin. I really recommend this as sort of like upper middle grade, lower YA fantasy. I thought this was great. It's tea-based magic, but I just haven't found myself referring to it. So yeah, it's gonna go. Warcross by Marie Lu. I don't feel like I need to tell you about this. This was a huge hit, and I enjoyed it, but it's gonna go for space reasons. The Good Luck Girls by Charlotte Nicole Davis. This is a Western dystopia YA fantasy, or no, maybe I guess not fantasy. It's just like a straight up dystopia. Really recommend, but it is a very hard read because the premise of this are these teenage girls who are being trafficked. So just know that, but it's really well written and very, very good. So I definitely do recommend this one. Spin the Dawn by Elizabeth Lim. I liked this first book better than the second book, but I'm not finding myself reaching for it or referring to it, so that's why it made the list. If you can't tell, I was going through my YA section. And then I've decided that the Amari series, I'm stopping, and really Amari and the Night Brothers are... Oh, no, wait. This is the one I want to keep. Okay, there's two. I'm glad we talked about this because I don't want to get rid of this one. Amari, the second and third book are the two that I'm going to unhaul. So I'll go grab the correct book. But yeah, these are the ones that are gonna get the heave-ho. And then similarly, another series where I'm just keeping the book in it that I like the best. So I think it's called The Winds of Winter, Witch of Winter, something with winter. The Bear and the Nightingale trilogy by Catherine Arden. The final book is definitely my personal favorite, so I'm keeping that one, and I'm unhauling these two. So, yeah. And then a couple, or I guess technically 3 nonfiction books. Guns, Germs, and Steel. This was really formative for me when I read it, but the information in it is questionable at this point based on what we now know, which is totally fine. That's a part of evolving knowledge. But I thought this was a thought-provoking read and an interesting one, but not one I could really recommend at this point, so I figured that meant maybe it's time to move it along. Somebody's Daughter by Ashley C. Ford is a great memoir, but again, I'm just not necessarily referring to it or recommending it to people, and I have other books that I would probably recommend that are similar to this in memoir. So yeah, it feels like it's okay to let this one go at this point. And then just a cookbook. My mom gave this to me at some point and I realized I've literally never cooked out of this, so I think I can pass it along. Camera overheated and I was like, girl, same. It's like a heat index of 105 here today. Whew, okay. So those were all books that were in my collection and I'm taking out. This entire next stack are books that were on my TBR pile, I've now read, and are not entering my collection. I think none of these probably have more than like a 3.5 star rating from me. So none of these are bad, though. I will say I have a different pile of things that I meaningfully did not enjoy to some degree. Do with that what you will. First up, we have The Wee Freeman by Terry Pratchett. I have enjoyed the subsequent books in this series a lot more, and those I have shelved in my collection. But this first book, I just think it's all of his normal writing charm, but I just did not... The plot didn't connect with me. There was too many of the Wee Freeman, too much of that. And the subsequent books, I think, are much helped by less of them, in my opinion. So, yeah. I'm very glad we kept going. Both me and Leanne had thought about bailing on the series at this point. I'm glad we didn't. This is the Tiffany Aching series, by the way. But yeah, I didn't enjoy this enough to keep it. This is a sequel I was really bummed by. The Undermining of Twyla and Frank by Megan Bannon. I really enjoyed the first book. And this one is just really different tonally and trope-wise in a way that just didn't connect with me personally. So... yeah, good, but a letdown, to be honest. Zero Repeat Forever by G.S. Prendergast is a very interesting YA dystopia that I have mixed feelings about. Leanna gave this to me, and I think she also had mixed feelings about it, and I think she gave this to me to share those mixed feelings. Yeah, I didn't hate it, but not gonna hold on to it. And we have The Three Dahlias by Katie Watson. I had this as a 5-star prediction, so I'm sad that it wasn't, but it was a perfectly entertaining country house mystery that's sort of playing with the idea of Agatha Christie and Miss Marple, but with a fictive author and that person's detective. So it was fun, but not memorable, and I don't... I mean, if I got around to the sequels, I wouldn't be mad, but I'm not, like, seeking it out, if that makes sense. We Sold Our Souls by Grady Hendrix. This was good, but it's probably my least favorite book from him, and some of that is just that there's a lot of, like, lyrics in this book, and to me, to the detriment of the story overall. Yeah, I still like the character work. I actually I remember the ending, and the ending I remember liking. But yeah, just not his strongest work in my opinion. I wonder if this would do better as audio. I thought that at the time of like, oh, I could see if the lyrics were sung to me, maybe that being more compelling. Men Who Hate Women. Am I gonna get rid of this? I guess I am. I mean, as a read, I didn't think this was that great because of how quickly the internet culture has moved. I do think I saw this author talking about a new book that she's coming out with, which I bet would be what I thought this was, which was like, in the moment, what it's like to see misogyny on the internet. But it's just like things have progressed so quickly that this got out of date pretty quickly. So I think as like capturing the moment it was written, it did a good job of that. But sadly, in like 6 years, things have already progressed pretty quickly. And I will also say it's more memoir than reportage, which was kind of what I wanted. So it's good, and I'm hesitant to get rid of it because I do think there's interesting things in here, but I don't think I need it. I think I should unhaul it. An Education in Malice by S.T. Gibson. This was... I wanted this because of how much I enjoyed A Dowry of Blood. Then I didn't read it right away, and it was getting a lot of really negative reviews, so that kind of put me off reading it. And I will say I ended up somewhere in the middle of... This is definitely not as good as A Dowry of Blood, but I do think it's better than I thought it might be based on reviews. And so I think it's worth reading. If you liked A Dowry of Blood, I would recommend giving this one a try. I didn't like it enough to keep it, but I'm not mad I read it, and I was pretty entertained by it, and it definitely makes me interested to read Carmilla, or Carmilla. Is that how you say it? I feel like I'm wanting to put an extra I in there. But anyway, I'm intrigued to pick up the source material based on this, but I don't think I need to hold on to this book in particular. Blob. I think this has been very divisive, and I would say that this is sad girl lit with a light speculative element. So if you are going into this expecting this to be a full-on speculative lit fic romance, I think you'll be disappointed, because really this is about a woman dealing with depression, and there happens to be this sentient blob that she's forming into this man. And I wish there had been more of that. Like, I think this book, I would have loved if there had been more of it. But that's just not where the book's energy is. So for me, that took away from it somewhat. But if you like sad girl lit, this is a very good version of that, I think. Like, I thought the writing was good. I would recommend this. I just, not gonna, I think I gave it like a 3.5, so I'm not gonna bring it into my collection. And then You're So Dead by Ash Parsons. If you are looking for middle grade, isolated, closed circle mystery with influencers, this is a great version of it. I thought this was fun and fast paced and entertaining. I would recommend this more for its intended audience than an adult reader, which is not the book. Like, that's 0% a ding on the book. I actually love that that's my take on this. So I would recommend this to young readers. I don't necessarily think this is a great one for adult readers of middle grade. But I think this was great and would recommend it to its intended audience. Just a few more. So, well, we'll start with the ones that are not coming into my collection with prejudice or are leaving my collection with prejudice. The Ocean at the End of the Lane. Insert pregnant pause. Okay, moving on. And then the two that I read recently that, yeah, I did not enjoy and are leaving with prejudice. Tender as the Flesh by Agustina Bazterrica. I think would have been a great short story, but is not successful as a novel. I think if you've read this kind of dystopian story before, you have a pretty good set of hypotheses about what's going to happen, and yes, one of those things does happen. I think the flat writing affect works in short story, but I don't think it's as successful in a novel, at least for me. So for me, this one's super overhyped, but somebody else, I'm sure this is a very popular book, somebody else will love finding this at the bookstore, so I'm happy to pass it along. And then The Retreat by Elizabeth de Mariafi was just not well written and distasteful. It's an isolated closed circle mystery set at a writer's retreat, or like an artist's retreat, not a writer's retreat. And it's just like, it's got some stuff with domestic violence in it that I don't think was handled very gracefully. And the writing is just tough. So I finished it basically because it was so easy to read. Like, it was barely 200 pages, and it took me probably 2 or 3 hours to read this. So I would chalk this up to seeing a not great movie thriller thing. Not my favorite, not coming into my collection. And then 2 books that I am unhauling from my TBR. I recently did when I was looking for the books that could come out of my collection, I realized that I hadn't really done a TBR clean out of my nonfiction collection in a long time. So I went through to see if there were books. Sorry, I'm turning over here looking at the shelf where they live. I went through to see if there were books that just aren't as aligned at this point with my nonfiction interests. Part of the problem with nonfiction is that I go through like waves of what I'm interested in. Currently, I'm really interested in nonfiction, but in specific kinds of it. So yeah, 2 popped out to me as ones that could go. One is The Portable Dorothy Parker. I just don't think I'm in a place where I'm looking for this much Dorothy Parker. I just don't see that happening anytime soon. So I'm gonna unhaul it. It came from McKay's, and back to McKay's it shall go. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust, all that good stuff. And then Zadie Smith, Feel Free. I got this collection when it came out, this essay collection. I keep not reading it. I have a couple of other essay collections that I got around that time that I've also not read, but those still sound interesting to me, and this one doesn't. So I just think it's time to let go of it as well. I have so much nonfiction to read, and I need the shelf space. So, yeah, though that being said, my TBR shelf is now actually only 3 shelves. Now, granted, they're very full shelves, but that's kind of exciting. My goal was just to have 1 shelf free, and now I have 2. That feels great. Okay, anyway, that is my unhaul. Let me know what you thought about any of the books I talked about. And yeah, I will be back the next time I have a big old tub of books to get rid of. But in the meantime, if you like the video, hit the bell if you want to know when I'm going to post. I hope you're taking care of yourself because you deserve that. And I hope you're taking care of your neighbors because they also deserve that. And yeah, that's it from me. Have a lovely day and we'll talk soon. Bye!